This color has absolutely always been one of my favorites. One of the first pieces I bought when we started collecting carnival glass years ago, excuse me, was this apple blossom twigs banana dish. I think we paid $30 for it. And I was just thrilled to death to get it. I thought the pattern was really beautiful. And the opalescence was very nice on it. The Peach Opalescence was made by 3 different companies. Dugan was considered to be the developer of Peach Opalescent. Fenton was probably the next largest producer. And then a few pieces have appeared in Northwood patterns. Some think they were made by Northwood. I personally think that they were probably made by the Dugan Diamond Company after they acquired the Northwood molds. I don't really believe that Northwood made any Peach Opalescent. But there are those that do, and they tend to pay high prices for the few pieces that have appeared. There are 2 different processes that are described for making Peach Opalescent, and I don't know which one is the correct one. One, in the Carl Burns book, which is a really excellent book on the Dugan Diamond Company, is now out of print, and he describes the process as being a clear to opalescent glass that was fired and then later had the ferric chloride sprayed on it to create the marigold color. Correctly, it probably should be called marigold opalescent rather than peach opalescent, but like many of the things in carnival glass, it's etched in stone at this point, and it would be fruitless to try to change it. I'm not going to talk about every piece here. We really don't have that kind of time because I would get all wound up. But I am going to mention a few. Probably one of the most popular things in Peach Opalescent at the moment are the enamel pieces. I have stipple petals here, and I believe there's one more.
Way over.
Over on the other page.
Oh yes, the stipple flower. I haven't found very many pieces that are enamel because I tend not to dye them if there's any damage to speak of on the enameling. That was the same reason I was late in getting into enamel tumblers, because all the ones I saw were really yucky looking, and until I found that one that was really almost perfect, I didn't buy it. This is how you would like all your peach opalescents to look. That nice dark marigold color with the nice milky edge on it. The Westmoreland Company made a little bit, and most of it is pretty bad, I have to admit. But this one is absolutely outstanding. When I went into a show and saw that years ago, I just had to have it, even though it was above what you would normally expect to pay for that piece. But several people have commented that when they're walking out this way and look at the display, this is one of the pieces that really stands out. That bluish iridescence on the peach opalescent is just beautiful. This is very hard to find. You find the small ones fairly readily, but the green cherry and the large berry bulb is very difficult to find. Several people have commented on the Peach Opalescent bride basket. This is actually a marriage. I bought the mold years ago in Fredericksburg, Maryland, and I kept looking for a basket that would fit the ruffling on it. As you can see, it's very ruffled. But I bought an opalescent mold, in this, and I sold the opalescent mold and put my nice Peach opalescent piece in it, and I think it makes very attractive. One of the last pieces that we acquired is the strawberry plate, which is a Northwood pattern, and as you can see, it has very little opalescence on it. It's really just about on the tips, and that's it. It doesn't go down into the back at all, which would tend to lend credence to what Carl Berg said about the opalescence and the darkness of some of the Dugan pieces as opposed to some of the others. He feels that Dugan developed the process for peach opalescence, and his pieces tended to be very dark with a lot of opal. As the company went on and he left the company, and the later pieces were done by Diamond, they tended to be kind of washed out. And you sure find a lot of washed out pieces, I have to admit. I've upgraded some of these several times over the course of my collecting. And this is probably a collection acquired over about 30 years. I have probably this many more pieces still at home. One of the pieces I've always loved is the little Hogstar and Fruit banana dish. You don't find many this small in this shape. And I had one which was not pretty at all, and I later bought this one from a lady down in Texas. This tends to be the kind of iridescence and color you find on the Westmoreland pieces as opposed to the banana dish over there. This is really ugly, but I've never seen another one. So, I don't know. This little intaglio flower piece is considered a plate, like Northwood pieces. It's kind of deep in the middle, but it's as flattened out as any piece you'll find in peach opalescence. Bill collects Dragon and Lotus, and we each have our own Dragon and Lotus peach opalescent piece. He has his in his cabinet, and I have mine in my peach opal cabinet.
What's the reason for that?
Huh?
What's the reason for that?
I don't know. We like the piece, and I wanted my own.
My Dragon and Lotus is upstairs in one cabinet, and her Peach Opal is downstairs in the other. We actually have 3 Peach Opal, Dragon, and Lotus pieces. So there are 2 upstairs and 1 downstairs. No, not yet.
It took me a long time to find a swan that I really considered peach opalescent, but this one has as much opal as you usually see on the head and even some around the edges on the side. So I was really happy to get that. This is another Westmoreland piece, and it's probably one of the rarest pieces up here. It's a Louisa piece in peach opalescent, and I may have seen 1 or 2 others but over the course of my collecting, but this is about it. They still don't bring a lot of money, I don't think, as much as the peach opalescent doesn't. But I think the beauty that you see, especially when it's displayed in a dark surface like this, really stands out, and I'm hoping more people will become interested in peach opalescent. The baskets are one of the hardest shapes to find. As far as I know, there are only 2 baskets in peach opalescent. That's Ski Star and Caroline, with the Ski Star being a little bit more difficult.
There's stipple petals and single flowers.
Oh, well, I haven't seen that.
Heavy web.
Yes. The peacock and grape is a fairly difficult one to find in peach opalescent. It's a little easier in the spatula footed, I think, but the collar base I believe it's a little harder to find, isn't it, Bob? And I like the 3-in-1 edge on this. I think it makes it very attractive. I had to give this one a bath last night. I noticed it wasn't quite as nice as some of the others showing up. And so it looks better today. Diane pointed out something to me I had never noticed. Most of them are satin type finish, and she pointed out that this soutache has a radium finish on it, and I had never really noticed it. It's funny how you can have these things for years and not notice things like that. But it definitely has a radium finish on the edge and a little bit lighter in the center. We don't have too many small plates. As most of you know, we'll collect small plates. And this is one of the few that we have in Peach Opalescent. It's a little 4 flowers plate. And one of the ones that we have, and I can't recall the pattern at the moment, is so washed out you can hardly tell it's Peach Opalescent, but I've never found another one. So it has a home, at least for the moment.
Sharon, if you remember, a lot of the little plates we've got have got print edges.
Yeah.
They're not flat like that.
Right.
They've got print edges.
This is another Westmoreland pattern, Curly Dots. It has fairly decent color and opalescent for Westmoreland. Somebody pointed out to me that this Persian Gardens bowl should have a base, but I don't know of any bases in Peach Opalescent, so I'm presuming if it did, it would have been the marigold big basket weave base. But I can't imagine this on a base. It seems to me like the ones that are pulled up more and ruffled would be more appropriate for a base than this. But this is probably the largest piece of Peach Opalescent I have. This hyacinth base was probably one of the earliest pieces that Dugan made. It really predated the carnival era. There was a piece of paper inside with an article on it when I bought this, and I thought it was pretty attractive, although it doesn't have much opalescence. It fades out a little at the bottom, but it's still a pretty base. There are 2 pieces that I just recently acquired at the ACGA auction. This one I had never seen before. It's a Northwood shade, according to what I was told. And it was listed in the brochure as marigold over milk glass, but Tom Burns was taking it up, and he pointed out to Debbie that it was clear on top, so it had to be Peach Opalescent. So I was quite happy to get that. I call it panel rib. I really couldn't find it in any of the books. And the other one is a vase I've never seen before with this vase size. It's a wide rib made by Dugan. And I looked in all of my books, and there is no listing at all for a vase size like this in wide rib. So this is probably a pretty rare little vase. Anyway, I was really thrilled to get that. I had to fight hard to get it, though, because there were some other people bidding on it. This is, I lost one of my signs. This is an apron bowl made by Fenton, and it has the usual Fenton opal that appears just on the very tips of the piece. I can't even remember where I got this piece, but you sure don't see many of those. I guess the honeycomb rose bowl and the Fenton flowers over there are about two only rose bowls in Peach Opalescent. This you find with some ease. They tend not to bring a lot of money. But this Fenton flowers rose bowl here, or orange tree as some call it, as far as I know, there are only two of these known. The Rogers have the only known perfect one, and this one has some damage. It has the end knocked off of one of the feet, but I was still tickled to have it. And the fellow who owned both of them asked me if I would like to have this one when he acquired his perfect one, and I was tickled that he thought of me. Even though it has damage, I still love it. My fisherman's mug I bought years ago at the show and sale that Keystone has up in Pennsylvania every spring. It's a one-day show, and people used to be lined up almost around the motel for it. And this year, there were hardly any people at all there. But one year, when Billy Richards came, he had this mug, and it had the right amount of opalescence to satisfy me, and I purchased it from him. It's really very dark for one of these mugs, and I was tickled to get it. Oh yeah, the vineyard pitcher I think is one of two known to come in Peach Opal, the other being the heavy iris that Don Moore owned years ago. And I had the pleasure of seeing, although it hasn't been advertised, of seeing a heavy iris tumbler in Peach Opalescent. A lady showed up at the Texas convention years ago, and she had that tumbler, and she wanted $2,000 for it. Well, I didn't have $2,000. So the tumbler stayed in her room. And whether that lady still has it or whether she ultimately sold it to somebody else, I have no idea. But I have seen it with my own eyes, so I know it exists. No, I think she just had one. She bought a marigold water set and had this one Peach Opalescent tumbler with it. I wish that would happen to me. Yeah. Anyway, the other one is the vineyard pitcher, and it's not really rare. It shows up with some regularity in various auctions. But I traded a number of pieces to get this, so I really don't have any idea what it actually cost me. I wasn't keeping very good records in those days.
You don't remember what you traded for?
I remember one of the pieces I traded for it, and I probably made a mistake in doing that. This is another Fenton piece, which is pretty rare in the peacock tail Peach Opalescent. Now it's hard to see this little piece all the way back in the back of the room. I apologize to people if I didn't hold the pieces up high enough. But I hope you'll come by and look at the variety of the Peach Opalescent and see how pretty it can really be. I have two cabinets that are filled to brimming with Peach Opalescent at home, and a number of people who've been to our house and have looked at our glass always gravitate to those two cabinets. When one of them is lighted up particularly, the Peach Opalescence just really stands out. Glenn Thistlewood was just blown away when she came and saw all that Peach Opalescence in those two cabinets. And if any of you get to our area, we'd be glad for you to stop and see our glass. Hope you buy Peach Opalescence.